For Purdue and Indiana, with the Hoosiers favored by 18 points. But normally, these two play much closer than that. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. I'm Brent Musburger. Doubleheader Sunday here on ABC. Most of you will see the Pac-10 showdown between UCLA and Arizona next. But here in the Midwest, your second game will have Illinois up at Minnesota. Let's bring in my partner now, Jim Valvano. And Jimmy, what are we in for here this afternoon?
Well, Brent, there's an old basketball axiom which says the more you lose, the tougher it is to win. Purdue's Boilermakers have lost 4 in a row, 6 of the last 7, and Gene Cady has some problems he's got to get ironed out. And it starts in his backcourt. In fact, look at this stat. His backcourt in Big Ten play has more turnovers than assists. They've got to play better.
How about the numbers as far as Indiana is concerned?
Well, there's also the adage, the more you win, the tougher it is to lose. And IU's got 21-2, a 5-game winning streak. And look at the numbers. Their field goal percentage is an all-time best, 55%. Their opponent's 44. Plus, a lot of people like to take three-pointers. Bob Knight says, let's go for the one-pointer. They actually have made more free throws than their opponents have taken, which offsets their lack of rebounding. It means they have an effective, efficient half-court offense.
And I understand Purdue may try something new today that's illegal. Mark Jones.
Yeah, a bit of a mix-up on the part of the Purdue players. Today they are wearing their home gold uniforms rather than the road black uniforms, and Bobby Knight will have the option of making them changing into black uniforms, practice jerseys actually, if he decides that Purdue's uniforms look too similar to Indiana's. Now, it's going to be interesting to see if Knight can manipulate that in the early stages of the ball game during the timeout sequence. We'll be back with the tip-off. When we come back, we've got Purdue and Indiana. It's the Battle of the Hoosier State right here on ABC.
ABC's College Basketball. Brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, who reminds you friends know when to say when. By Head & Shoulders, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And by the greatest sports performance shoe in the world, the Reebok Pump. Pump up and air out.
Does seem to be enough contrast between the gold and Indiana's home white that Bob Knight probably will not order the change in uniforms. Now let's take a look at the starting lineups for Knight and the Hoosiers. Their 14th starting lineup of the season. Damon Bailey returns to the starting lineup for the first time since the Purdue game. And for Purdue, well, there's a new guard back there. Painter moves into the backcourt as a starter in this contest. How about the storyline, Jimmy?
Well, just like last week against Ohio State for Purdue, they got to control tempo. Their backcourt's got to play well, and they certainly have to shoot better as a team. Indiana's going to pressure those young guards from Purdue. They're going to stop Jimmy Oliver, the best player from Purdue, and hit those boards.
White of Purdue and Chaney for the Hoosiers to jump it off. The tap is controlled by the Boilermakers. You'll watch some of the toughest man-to-man defense in the nation with both of these teams. Very difficult to get an open man and a good shot. First possession of the game for the Boilermakers. Trice running the team today, number 3. Riley back in at center, has it down low. And White with the game's first shot is off to the right. And the Hoosiers come down on the move. Jones for the layup. Tap in by Nover.
Certainly, Brent, not the tempo that Purdue is looking for. On offense it was, but certainly not defensive transition.
White away from the ball commits the foul. Indiana tied with Ohio State in the big showdown next Sunday at Columbus, Ohio. Illinois cannot go to the NCAA tournament. Michigan State, Wisconsin, and Iowa all would seem to have a good chance.
Hey, Brent, Wisconsin is shot at the NCAA tournament after their great double overtime victory against Michigan State. That'd be nice for Coach Steve Yoda and the Badgers.
Yes, it would to see a new team from the Big Ten get a chance at the NCAA tournament.
I'm telling you, it's coaching tough when your club votes on the wrong uniforms. I mean, you know how hard this is to implement a game plan. You can't get the right jerseys in the bag. It's tough.
Now with Indiana, of course, it's that screen, pick, constant movement, look for the open man. A team that very seldom takes a bad shot, and if someone does, of course, Coach Knight will go to that bench of his. They start to move it around. Calvert Chaney wears number 40. The 3 is in and out. And the putback by Eric Anderson. Rebound Riley. passing lane, well defended by the Hoosiers. The outlet, Damon Bailey to Jones.
We watched him practice yesterday, and I was so impressed with Damon Bailey's vision on the court, Brent. He sees everyone. He does it effortlessly, and he's much quicker than I thought he was.
Purdue needs to get Oliver into this offense early if they can. Riley missing. White has it knocked away. And it's Indiana's ball. On the move was Bailey.
There's some of the speed I talked about. You know, when you're on the court with a player, you can see the speed a little bit better. Damon Bailey sees the court well, but watch the little burst of speed here he puts on. The most important dribble in basketball, the crossover dribble, beats his man. Very, very smart player. Will be a solid player for 4 years.
Just consider some of the pressure that Damon Bailey has operated under ever since Knight scouted him in the 8th grade. This is a remarkable story.
Couple of things early on here, Brent. The transition game of Indiana right now is really hurting Purdue. Transition baskets, they have 3. Indiana doesn't. Purdue needs to stop that. On the offensive end, Purdue's got to get a little sharper because Indiana's helping man-to-man defense will really shut things down.
A 6-point lead and another turnover, and so far it is all Hoosiers. Chaney, the first left-handed player in 20 years under Knight. That is just a remarkable. It's hard to believe. And Anderson with great range takes that one outside. He's the only non-Indiana native starter in the Hoosier lineup. He's out of Illinois. And they're living up to that billing again. It's a bust-out Chaney. Scoreboard as Oliver, Jimmy Oliver, number 32, who's put together strong scoring games back-to-back. Last Sunday, he played well at Columbus when we covered the Ohio State game. 10-3. The patience of a Knight coach team. This is Bailey, the youngster out on top, number 22. Chaney is the best pure shooter. And a foul out of bounds, rather. Let's check in on Mark Jones. Mark?
Yeah, guys, just following up on the uniform story, Bobby Knight in that last Indiana timeout did not mention anything about the uniforms. He was getting on the referees for some traveling calls and telling them to keep the defensive pressure up on Purdue. So I would think right now that gold is probably Bobby Knight's favorite color.
Bailey's 3 is out. He probably asked the referees to change their jerseys. That's the information.
When you're winning 10-0, everything looks rosy, huh?
This is Barrett, 22. And they get on the inside that time. And White's field goal makes it 10-5. They've cut that lead in half after that timeout.
We saw this last week. We're against Ohio State. Purdue stays within its game plan, and they fought back then.
Chaney off that fake. So smooth, but it did not stay down. An offensive rebound, but a traveling call goes against Anderson, and Knight is upset about that call. He can't believe that call. He is going to work on him, and the ref goes right over tonight.
Look at how long it takes Purdue to score their first points. Today, 2:55. They should get here earlier, I think.
Knocked away by Nover. Anderson with the possession. Jones. That's a 3 for Jones and a 13-5 lead.
And Lyndon Jones shoots 52% from three-point land. He's been one of the more effective shooters for the Hoosiers from the tray.
Cheney taking Oliver. Oliver loses him, but didn't go through with the shot. He had a shot. Pounding away, and Anderson pulls down the missed Purdue field goal attempt. Bailey, as he was coming, drew the foul. Link Darner, the freshman guard from Anderson, Indiana, fouled him. Now Knight will hit the bench. So Bobby Knight added to the Basketball Hall of Fame. Richly deserved honor. This week, he'll go in with Nate Archibald, Dave Cowens, Harry the Horse Gallatin, and two gentlemen who passed away within the last year. Larry O'Brien, who was the commissioner of the NBA, and Larry Fleischer, who headed up the Players Association, who meant so much to the NBA's success over the last decade.
So now we have two coaches who are presently still in the business in the Hall of Fame. Dean Smith from North Carolina and now Bob Knight. How's that? How intimidating is that to go up against a guy who's in the Hall of Fame?
It's intimidating enough to go up against the general.
Oh, I am in the Hall of Fame. If you go there, Brent, for $100, you become a lifetime member. I'm in the V section. Valvano right there, forever.
The Barrett and Darner, and another turnover by the guards. Bailey.
What was so impressive about that, Brent, was just the defense. You saw Eric Anderson on the great jump switch that caused the turnover of the Purdue guards. Classic defense, half court, man to man.
Knocked away by Anderson into the hands of White, and the foul will go against number 24, Matt Nover.
No, yesterday at practice, Brent, Bobby Knight's been coaching for how many years? A long, long time. They still had the tape on the floor, which shows weak side and ball side and help side and where you're supposed to be. They're so infrequently out of position. And Eric Anderson caused that turnover. The great interior defense caused the turnover on the outside because he fronted down low. Just a clinic in basketball here.
Jamal Meeks off Knight's bench, inbounds the ball to Bailey. Nover, Anderson, and Cheney started up front. They're still on the floor. Meeks the lone substitute for the Hoosiers.
And we've got to give, in the defense a little bit of Purdue, their best guard, Woody Austin, who is ineligible, was an outstanding player and handled the ball and shot the ball well. They'd be a much different ball club with him. The game starts in the backcourt. When you play with freshman guards, you're going to be in trouble.
They are just hounding Barrett. Oliver comes over to help, pulls up the jump shot.
Can he play? That young man is having a terrific year. If he's free, it's good. He's knocking him down.
He recovered from that one stretch where he struggled a little bit. His best friend is over in Saudi Arabia, and the feeling was that upset Jimmy Oliver a little bit, but the last two games he scored well. Now Purdue comes back down, gets it into Oliver's hands, misses on the layup. Chucky White coming back up, draws the foul.
We talked about the backcourt problems. Look at Woody Austin, 14 points a game and 47% from three-point shot. The current guards, almost 13 points a game. But look at the field goal percentage, 33%. And that's why Purdue's got the problems this year. And they're doing a heck of a job. Their games are so close. They played Illinois, 59-56. We had the Ohio State game with 4 minutes to play. The game is right on the line. In fact, they had a lead. The first time they played IU at Purdue, right down to the wire. So you got to give them credit for they never, ever give up, and they play, I think, the best they can, which is what you're supposed to be doing. Get the most out of your potential. You talk about defense, Purdue gives up the least or fewest points in the Big Ten.
So smooth is Cheney.
That's the good news. Unfortunately, they give up 64 points again. They only score 62, though. You're going to fall a bucket short most of the time.
Look at Knight work on that official. He's back up by 10, 18-8. Wonderful to watch him play defense.
Well, yesterday in practice, they went for about the first hour and only did one thing, and that was half-court defense and their offense, and they did it so well.
That was Pat Graham, number 33, checking into the lineup. He will go up front with Anderson and Cheney. Nover gets a break. Nover with 2 personal fouls already in the game.
Graham's an excellent shooter, probably their best pure shooter.
Anderson will step out. He does that very well. Strong rebound by Stanback.
I'll tell you, people always say, is there a difference in leagues? You know, people say the Big Ten's physical. And I used to say to the AC, well, no, that's not so. But I'm telling you, their bodies all over the floor in this one.
Traveling call. We're going to take a timeout. 11:48 left in the first half. And the Hoosiers are up by 10, 18-8.
UNLV #1 will remain undefeated, throttling Arkansas right now.
Short time ago, Big Larry Johnson of Vegas hooked up with Day of Arkansas in a brief scuffle. Both those players have been tossed out of the game, and that will impact the next contest.
That's
Coach.
right. It could happen. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but you can be suspended. But what I really like is the fact that guys like Dick Vitale and myself, we all know what we're talking about. We both thought Arkansas at home would win that one.
And I will repeat what we said about a month ago, that I think they're going to run out unbeaten this year.
Well, Brent, you're looking pretty good right now. I mean, if Arkansas can't beat them at home in that environment, 1 versus 2, nobody can beat them. That's going. They're going to win the whole thing.
Jimmy, I have read seriously over the last couple of weeks some basketball experts, columnists who see a lot of games, who really think that this Vegas team could play with the bottom rung teams in the NBA. Now, is that overstating the case?
You know, I thought so. But if you can go, I can't tell you how impressive it is to go into Arkansas's arena, 1 versus 2. When I was coaching, you dream for that. I played the #1 team about 5 times, I think, in my career. You dream for it. And if you can lose by 3 touchdowns, it's unbelievable. That's how strong they are.
Now, we're watching a very good Indiana team here this afternoon. And what would they do?
I think even Coach Knight would tell you himself they don't have the speed that Vegas has, the size that they have. I think it'd be very, very hard-pressed for any club right now to match up with Vegas.
And it's amazing because the Hoosiers are capable of getting to the Final Four. There's no question about it.
But they have one weakness, right? And even they know it, and they talk about it. They don't have, and Anderson has to play the middle of the floor. And they don't have the great inside player, the great rebounder. They are overachieving. 21-2 is a remarkable record, really. I mean, they've done just a spectacular job. But they don't, they only have 1 rebound more than their opponents. Vegas would get them inside.
Now we get word that it was not a fighting ejection. It was unsportsmanlike conduct. So they will not be suspended. That's the word we get out of the Vegas-Arkansas game. This is number 32, and he is the key man, Jimmy Oliver, the senior. Speaking of Arkansas, that's where the young man grew up, Oliver. One who got away from the Razorbacks. Look at that great pass back to Bailey for the 3. From the baseline, Cheney saw the open man on the outside and fired it back to him.
Damon Bailey shoots 46% from three-point land, which is outstanding. So Lyndon Jones and Bailey, 2 outstanding three-point shooters.
That was an odd foul call against Bailey, his second. So with Vegas winning, there are the unbeaten NCAA champions of the past. Indiana's great 76 team, the last one to go all the way, 32-0. And if you talk to Coach, he thinks that his best team was, I think, the previous year.
Yes, they lost 1 game the year before, all of 1.
On a missing, and the rebound by Graham. So it's 23-10. It has been all Indiana. Cheney missing.
One of the problems Purdue has, Brent, when you're against the club so fundamentally sound guarding the post area, which certainly Indiana does, if you can't shoot it from the perimeter, you're in trouble.
And he was fouled.
Once again, one thing that I mentioned Indiana does so well is they handle the interior defense, which started this break. It was good interior defense. They got the outlet to Pat Graham for the basket.
Trice returns for Purdue.
Everybody talks, Brent, the game of basketball is an inside-outside game. And if your inside is cut off by either doubling down or, as Indiana does so well, they may front and weak side help. You've got to shoot the outside shot. That is a weakness Purdue has. And so they're trying to implement a game plan without all the tools. And that's what makes it so frustrating for Coach Gene Cady.
Only one field goal for Purdue in the last 3.5 minutes, and another turnover by the guards. You almost get the feeling that Gene Cady and his staff must be considering taking Oliver or someone and moving them into the backcourt and let them see if they can get the ball up.
Well, freshmen, you got to play him. I feel sorry for him. They're going to get better. He's an outstanding coach. They're going to work with him. They just got to get tougher and work harder, and they'll be better. This Indiana team, had freshmen, and they're better this year. But how about them next year? They got everybody back. The whole squad is back. I once coached a team. I took a job, and they said, Coach, you got everybody back. I said, yeah, but we were 1 in 26 the year before. So
I'd like him to graduate.
I said, we don't lose anybody? Can't we lose a couple? No, they're all back again.
Purdue with 11 turnovers and only 3 assists.
Oh, well. Following up on that theme, UCLA has just about everybody back. Duke has everybody back. I mean, next year there may not be a team like a Vegas.
Yeah, because they graduate most of their team. That's the best news that anybody's got next year. The Vegas team will rebuild, and they're not eligible for the tournament, remember, next year.
And who knows what else. They have that 29 violation inquiry, which they just had to respond
to. This is Painter. Pat Graham on him. He gets on the inside for the jump shot. Spins out, but the foul goes against Indiana. So coming up next will be the second half of our doubleheader here on ABC. In the Pac-10, Arizona, UCLA, and in the Big Ten, Illinois and Minnesota. Jimmy, what's your feeling about that Arizona-UCLA game?
Well, I really like UCLA. You know that I've said that before. I think in Don McClain, they've got one of the really premier big men in the country. I love their guards. Matkins, Martin do a great job. Tracy Murray's the finest. I think he's the best long-range shooter. In college basketball today can really, well, maybe Rodney Monroe. I love Rodney too. But UCLA is a terrific team. I think they can win that one. And next year, when they get Ed O'Bannon back and all those squad, they're going to be awfully tough. Wow, you're missing your free throws. It'll be tough.
Greg Graham and Pat Graham both on the floor. Greg, number 20. Foul goes against Purdue.
Personal foul on Purdue. Number 22.
It's on Barrett.
His first personal of the team 6.
Gene's shaking his head, but next year he's got some very fine recruits coming, a year experience. They'll be back. I'll tell you a stat most people probably wouldn't know. Who leads the series in Purdue and Indiana? I bet you most folks would think it's very, very close. Well, Purdue, 93-64. Isn't that shocking?
It really is. The only team in the Big Ten, we should quickly point out, with an advantage overall against Indiana.
And of the last 11 times they've played, these two guys, Knight and Cady, it's 6-5 Bob Knight. So Cady's had some pretty good success in this series.
The final score out of the Arkansas game, UNLV 112 and Arkansas 105. So Vegas stays unbeaten by beating second-ranked Arkansas. And now you would have to think that Indiana, the way they're playing, could climb to number 2 in the polls next week.
Oh, certainly. And I think the only way you can beat Vegas, it makes it tough to beat Vegas, the new rules. The three-point shot and the clock.
There's the final. And that spurt to open the second half turned things completely around. Vegas was down 4 at halftime. So here in Bloomington, Indiana, the Hoosiers with the possession. And a miss by Pat Graham, rebound by Purdue. It has been all Indiana here. It is 26-13. They led it 10-0 before a timeout, and Purdue made it 10-5. And now Indiana has exerted itself again. And the trouble for the Boilermakers, as Jim Valvano has been pointing out throughout much of the game, has been in the backcourt. They have tried 4 different guards already, and the youngsters are having a great deal of difficulty against this Indiana tough man-to-man defense. White stepped outside, passed up the shot. This is Oliver from the left baseline. Contact underneath and the foul on Stanback.
Really a nice defensive set for Indiana. They did so many things that, as a coach, you watch it, they switched at the guards, they helped and recovered outside. The guy gets it inside. He's the one guy you need to double down on. He's Jimmy Oliver because he can't shoot. Then they blocked out and got the over-the-back calls.
Coming up for Indiana in a moment. Bonus is now in effect for Indiana. At the line, it's number 32, Eric Anderson.
Anderson is only a 67% free throw shooter for a young man who really has such a nice jumper from this area. You think he'd be in the 70s.
Oh, Indiana, with about a 3-minute cold spell, snaps that.
Purdue only scored 3 points, I believe, during that time. So if your defense is consistent, it can take you through those times when your offense struggles a bit.
We've got a timeout. 6:53 to go, first half, 28-13, Indiana leading Purdue.
When the
It's Purdue 28-13. Jim Valvano, this arena is packed with Hoosiers. What's a Hoosier?
I went around asking everybody, what's a Hoosier? And there are a lot of definitions. The one most popular is that when they came up the Ohio River, they were going by Kentucky. The Kentuckians would say, Hoosier. You get that? Hoosier. And they'd say Hoosier, so they became Hoosiers.
Now, wait a minute. Kentucky and the Ohio River, right?
That's what they told me.
That's interesting.
Is that wrong geographically?
No, I think it sounds good to me, I guess.
That's what I heard. That's what they told. Now, that was the other one. The other most popular one was that was a fellow in Kentucky owned a factory. His name was Joe Hoosier. This one I think they thought I came off the turnip truck with. I'm not sure. This was Joe Hoosier. They worked from a lot of the folks from Indiana, all right, and they became known as Hoosiers men. Ergo, Hoosiers.
Hoosiers.
Which one you like better? There's also another one about a flatbed truck, but I don't feel like getting into that. But
At any rate,
nobody knows.
Hoosiers love basketball. We know that.
And they're good at it, too.
I think that's the definition. A lover of basketball is a Hoosier. At the high school, college, professional level in this state, Purdue and Indiana through the years have had some great contests. You know, last year, Purdue thrashed Indiana 72-49, and the feeling is that the Hoosiers may owe them one here today.
And so I ask myself as a coach, how do you come back from a 14-point deficit when you haven't played well in 6 minutes? And I know that was a big bucket, really. What I know we used to try to do is play what we called a mini game. Play a 5-minute game and try and just get the lead under double figures. Play a mini game here. Let's see if they can get that done, Purdue.
Jimmy Oliver lit him up with that 3 now, and he has scored 11 points here. Trying to get Chaney. And Oliver defensively, he is a fine all-around player for the Boilermakers. He is their key, number 32.
And I know that in the scouting reports, Indiana would say don't let him get the ball.
And he just did there on a rebound. So he has scored, he defended Chaney, and now he rebounded. They've got Stanback for a layup, and Knight is going to be upset. He'll go to the bench on that. That was much too easy.
A defensive mix-up. They had matchup problems. No one was guarding Stanback at all.
28-19, Purdue easing its way back in. Chaney is off, but Indiana gets a break. Stanback could not control the ball. Graham is short, and now the Boilermakers have rebounded again. This is their most positive move of the game here, the last few minutes.
And this is where the one weakness of Indiana shows. They're not a great rebounding team. So they're getting one shot right now, one shot only, nor do they have someone to go to inside to get an easy basket. A la Kent Benson, who we see in the stands here, and a lot of other Indiana players.
Oliver on the turnaround. Jimmy Oliver, and brings Purdue to within 7.
And that's how you get back in the ball game. A little mini game, a little mini run.
Chucky White will return for the Boilermakers when play is stopped the next time.
Indiana worked on this yesterday in practice, a little triangle offense to try and get some screens for Chaney. Try and free him up. Push off.
Push off by Lawson. Chris Lawson pushes off and commits his second personal.
And 1-1.
So Knight will send Nover into the game for Lawson. Damon Bailey is going to return, and Chris Reynolds from Peoria, Illinois, checking in. Reynolds, a tough defensive guard. Now Riley replaces Stanback for the Boilermakers. It's a 7-point game.
What resilience of the Purdue basketball team. I mean, they really just keep coming at you.
Cornelius McNary.
And you got to give the credit to the coaching staff, because we've talked to them 2 weeks in a row. They're upbeat. They're not down. The kids will reflect how the coaches feel. And Gene is written on the blackboard, let's have some fun. Gene Katie, that is. And so they've played loose and they hang in there.
The lead is back down to 5. And again, returning is Link Darner, and you can see that fire over there on the Purdue bench. Indiana has missed its last 8 shots. And Chaney is just not quite as efficient as he normally is. Foul against the Boilermakers, against Pat Graham, who was coming in on Painter.
That's not the guy to foul. He's an outstanding free throw shooter. Pat Graham shoots 85%. The best on the Indiana team.
Nover sits down as Anderson returns.
Interesting thing with Indiana, they got good shots. It wasn't at times a motion offense stops moving and you say they're having trouble, but they were moving well. Brenton getting very good shots. Everybody got, Chaney had some good shots, Graham had some good shots, just weren't going down.
Darner sits, and Oliver, number 32, returns.
We also have very many quiet Hoosiers right now. They were really into the game.
Indiana perfect at that line today. They've hit all 9. Lead is 7, 30-23, 4:20 to go in the first half. Oliver battling, and it was over and back. Indiana ball.
I'm not sure about that, Brent. You got to have some control there. Well, the referee.
He had possession. He was the last player to have possession.
That's what I said, refs. Great call, ref.
Chaney. Now.
Sweet.
Technical on Gene Katie. Gene Katie picks up a technical foul. He was yelling about the backcourt violation, and he stayed on the official, and that's why he picked up the technical.
This last week, didn't we see this? Yogi Berra, this deja vu all over again? Ohio State last week, same situation about timeout.
We've got a timeout. A 10-point Indiana lead.
I get excited. I think that we've got a team that's young here, a lot of excitement, a lot of energy. They're very aggressive, and they got a lot of youth. So I think that with what we've got coming in next year with the big kids, that's all we're missing is some big people in the middle.
Thanks a lot for joining us, Kent.
Thank you.
Indiana reloading, guys, next year.
Thank you, Mark. Right now, 33-23. Indiana over Purdue. Riley. Painter, Barrett, Oliver, and Chucky White on the floor for the Boilermakers, and another turnover. Reynolds, Anderson, Chaney, Bailey, and Pat Graham, and Reynolds slices through for the layup.
When you're playing against a helping man-to-man defense, you throw a lob pass from a 45-degree angle, it's going to get stolen. It has to be thrown really on a vertical line, and just Indiana does such a great job of that weak side help.
Graham commits the personal. Stanback replaces Riley for Purdue.
Wonder who's the leader in technical fouls, Knight or Katie? What do you think? I mean, I don't have that.
Historically?
Well, I'm saying the time they've been together in this league. What do you
in
think?
his early days, Knight
I'm
retired
talking about
title.
the last 11 years or so. I wonder what it is.
Probably pretty close.
That'd be interesting. I'm sure you guys will have that for me in about 2 minutes, right, Jimmy? Tubbs has it.
But Knight holds the edge in chair throwing distance.
Well, he has no reason with this ball club. I think he really likes this team. You know, you watched him practice yesterday, and they work awful hard. Certainly a very effective team.
Reynolds and Greg Graham. There's the lock on the chair so that he cannot try to break his own existing record. Bailey trapped, but he winds up Indiana's ball anyway. Anderson facing the basket, looking for a receiver. This is Greg Graham, number 20. Hits Anderson on the move through the lane. Reynolds digs one out and then loses it. So they have dual possession down here at the Indiana basket.
I'll tell you, Barrett on that sequence was like in a pinball machine. I mean, he's going to be black and blue. They picked him about 6 times in that one possession.
The possession arrow favoring Indiana. They'll take it out of bounds with a 10-point lead and 2.5 minutes here in the first half.
Well, I'd like to play zone if I were playing against the Hoosiers.
Graham to the glass.
Great cross-court pass, which took away Purdue's weak side help, and then good quickness to the basket.
Stanback's jumper out. And a foul on Painter. And a reminder that coming up at halftime, John Saunders will have the college basketball scoreboard. Beth Ruyak will take a look at Kevin Bradshaw from U.S. International University. Set a single-game scoring record with 72 points. And we'll also see the Foot Locker Slam Fest. And, of course, a Gulf War update from ABC News. That's coming up here. Minute 56 left in the first half. Knights Hoosiers have led it all the way. They spurted to a 10-point lead. And it is 37-25, 156. Anderson's free throw gives him 5 for the game. Pat Graham has scored 8 points and Damon Bailey 7. They're the leading scorers for Indiana. It has been all Oliver as far as Purdue is concerned. He has scored 15 points. Painter is the only guard with any points in the first half. He has 1 3-point field goal. The other 3 have been scoreless. A hold down on the inside against Chaney. And that's his first personal of the game. Pat Graham with 2 personals. Lawson with a pair. Nover with 2. Bailey with 2. And for Purdue, Painter with 3 and Darner with 2.
Free throws have been a problem for Purdue. White shoots 60% from the line.
It's out of Monrovia, California. And again, he came over and made a special point to please say hello to my mother and tell her I miss her.
I thought Monrovia was a country.
Upper Monrovia is the country.
Oh, okay.
Graham, and it wouldn't stay down. Oliver's rebound. Cross to Oliver for the 3. Anderson puts it into Reynolds' hand. And Meeks cuts through. Tried to whip the ball inside to Graham. That was Reynolds at the top of the circle.
What Purdue's doing defensively is they're pushing their defense back and really encouraging Indiana to take the three-point shot. And right now they don't have the perimeter players who will take many three-point shots out there. Graham is not there, Lyndon Jones, Damon Bailey. So it's an effective defense right now, and that's why that interior pass couldn't make it, because they push it back a little bit.
Trice return for Coach Katie. Meeks has it knocked away. 13 on the shot clock. Meeks down the baseline. Beautiful move. Biggest lead of the game, 41-27. Final seconds here of the first half.
And here's another problem Purdue has. Can they hold the ball? Well, they're not even going to try.
Wound up and stand back, and Anderson rejects it again. Oliver travels.
That's what I was talking about. When you're not a good ball handling team and you're trying to milk the clock, you get that turnover.
That's 13 turnovers in the first half committed by Purdue.
And Knight's put in his three-point shooters here. So Purdue plays that same defense. Maybe they can end it Indiana on the three-point shot. Purdue showing some up-court pressure, and they retreat.
So with Arkansas having lost, Indiana tries to stake its claim to number 2. John Saunders will tell you all about the UNLV victory. He'll be along with Beth Ruriak in a few seconds here on ABC.
ABC.
Lineup for Indiana has returned. Anderson, Chaney, Nover, Jones, and Bailey. And that is the third personal foul on Damon Bailey to start the second half, Jimmy.
I always like to see, Brent, what adjustments coaches make at halftime.
Oh. Second violation, another turnover by the Purdue guard.
That you don't want to start with, but it was interesting to see what Gene Keady was going to try and do offensively, and he's got a headache, certainly, Gene, and he turns it over again.
Chaney, who needs only 3 points to become the 5th player in Indiana history to get to the level as quickly as he has. He'd be the only 5th player to score 1,000 points by his sophomore season.
2 possessions, 2 turnovers. So that time, Purdue tried to push it up, maybe feeling their half-court offense. They couldn't get good shots. Let's try to run some transition.
Jones was defended on the inside by Barrett. McNary comes up, hands it off. And the problems continue in the Boilermaker backcourt. White was 1 of 4 in the first half. And a push-off foul on the inside.
I always felt, Brent, on the road, if my team was down, that the home team would come out at times a little soft. You had a chance to make the first 2 buckets before the crowd got into it. And here's a case where Purdue had an opportunity to make 3 scores before Indiana really got it going. That happens a lot. Again, that's another chance. Here's number 4.
McNary, not necessarily a ball handler, kept it and then came up with a jump shot.
4 opportunities to score on the road.
Anderson coming back up on McNary is fouled.
Personal foul, number 35, Cornelius McNary. His second personal, the team's second. Boilermaker substitution, Ian Stackback. He replaces number 35.
Among other things, didn't they tell us that Eric Anderson had walked into a door
Well, I tell you, he does have an interesting band-aid on his forehead there. It has, I think it says, send money. I think that's what it says. What is, see that? Look at that, what is that? I mean, it's a little psychedelic. That's out of the 60s. He's got a 60s Band-Aid.
From a distance, it looked like it was tacked on.
Now, that's an Italian Band-Aid. That's how we put them on.
Barrett. Nothing easy for the Purdue backcourt. Painter takes it back, then gets it to stand back.
You see Brent right there, when Painter throws it inside and Indiana doubles down, the ball comes back out. If you don't shoot, then they can double down the entire game. That's it, shoot it, yes!
There he is.
You've got to do that. If you're gonna throw the ball inside and it comes back out, in order to stop the double down, defensively, you gotta take the jump shot.
He's the only Purdue guard to score. To Nover for an easy two. Much less effort for Indiana to score.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Purdue has to work awfully hard to get a bucket, and they missed a golden opportunity early in this second half to get it going. A couple of quick hoops.
Their high scorer, Oliver, trying to get going here in the second half. A stand-back hits, so they put together back-to-back successful field goals. The screen and move offensive night. Down on the inside. Bailey keeping it off the dribble. Hits Nover. Great pass to Jones, who had cut in behind, and Nover picked him up out of the corner of his eye.
Oh, what a great look that was. Terrific look, but the double team came from the wrong spot. You can't double off the baseline because obviously if the man is found, he's wide open.
Cheney hounding Oliver here in the second half, working hard defensively on Purdue's leading scorer. White with a bad pass, and Anderson comes out on the dribble. Missed the layup.
Monday night. Little plug for myself here. Monday night, on Big Monday, I'm talking about dribbling as a skill. And one of the first dribbles is the speed dribble. And how frequently big guys make the dribble, go the length of the court, and can't make the layup because their footwork gets a little fouled up. Got to push the ball out.
Certainly glad that we got an advanced preview of it.
Yeah, I want you. You check it out, don't you, Brent?
Never miss.
Okay.
Here's Bailey. Stand back as it knocked away, but Purdue recovers, and a foul against Jones in the backcourt.
But it's true though, Brent, there are really four kinds of dribbles. The speed dribble, which we saw there. Most important, a front change dribble.
We'll continue with Jim Valvano on the dribble when we come back to Indiana.
Talk about the game. Eric Anderson, a speed dribble. See, pushed that, maybe took one too many there, but now a lot of big guys, they're not sure if they're on foot or horseback here. Should I dunk it? Should I lay it in? But for you young players, that was a pretty good example of the speed dribble for big guy. Push it out, push it out.
46-33 Indiana. Leading Purdue. It'll be interesting to see how they vote Ohio State and Indiana this week with Arkansas losing. Of course, they play next Sunday. That'll be a big one in Columbus. Many of you will see that in our regional coverage on ABC next Sunday. Their only loss here at Indiana this year was to Ohio State in the first meeting between those two. Bob Knight's alma mater, and he rarely loses to them.
What a game that was, too. They got down by 18 points, the Hoosier did, and then came roaring back. But Ohio State showed some poise, and they had such a nice team. They got inside, outside, very good team.
Here we can refer back to your mini game again. It's 46-34. Purdue needs to get it down inside at 10. And if they hadn't been sloppy in the early going, they'd be fairly close right now here in the second half.
We used to play, actually, to the TV timeouts. We used to play 4-minute games. We used to practice 4-minute games because of television. And television has had a major impact on how you coach the game. Big shot here.
He's got the three. Now they're within that number. It's 46-37.
And you figure you're going to get a timeout. All right, you're going to get a timeout maybe at the 12-minute mark. So you got to play this 3-minute tilt now to try and stay under 10 points, only to put yourself in a position to win. We see Purdue has changed defense, has gone to a zone.
Pat Graham whips it back to Reynolds, rejected. There's the defense. And it was Chucky White who breaks back. Painter sends it to Oliver, off with that shot. Not a good shot in that situation for the Boilermakers, and Hoosiers come back.
What a big shot, a judgment play there. Could have cut it down.
But they get it back. They get a break at this end.
The changing of the defense, and Indiana a little hesitant, and they have their three-point shooters in. They could go inside, outside with Bailey and Graham in there. You need to set up.
Now, Katie was just yelling at Oliver, use your head now. Knight not happy with how his team is executing offensively right now. So this is the chance for the Boilermakers.
Recognition. Need to recognize the defense he wanted to set up.
Darner's three.
Finally, you got to take it. Been saying it all game. Take the three-point shot, and now you got yourself a 6-point game. And what Gene Katie wants to do is get to the next timeout right where he is. He'd be ecstatic.
Chaney has really been quiet in this game.
Watch for the three here.
It's a 9-0 run for the Boilermakers. Inside the three-point with the miss, Darner's rebound.
And that's not who Bob Knight wanted to shoot. Chris Reynolds, that's not his game. He had Bailey and Graham on the wings. You're going to go look inside, outside there. Big moment here.
White steps out. Chaney defensively, though, doing a strong job on Oliver. Inside, the stand back knocked away beautifully by Reynolds. Bailey busts out. Tries to save it and gets it deep to Chaney. Nice save by Damon Bailey.
Reynolds did what he does well, defense. Now you got to find the people on offense you want to have the basketball. There's one of them.
Graham.
See, coaches like that. Reynolds on the other end got the steal, and then Graham got the jump shot. That's good decision. That's good basketball.
They had a chance to cut it to 4. Purdue did. Instead, they're down by 8, 48-40. Darner on the drive, pull up, doesn't get the roll, and it's Anderson for Indiana. Chaney. And Katie uses a timeout.
Did not get to the TV timeout.
Back, everyone. I'm with Jay Edwards. Jay, had you stayed at Indiana and played your last 2 years, you'd be a senior on this team right now. Any thoughts about that?
Yeah, you know, I came to the game today for the first time in 2 years, and I got nervous like I was about to play or something. You know, I was in the stands trying to shoot shots for him, but I'm just glad to be back.
Former Mr. Basketball, guys. Jay, with a J of his own. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Mark. Nice to see Jay here, along with a lot of former Hoosiers whom they have welcomed back. Kent Benson, we heard from earlier. Steve Alford also in attendance. So far this afternoon, it has been all Indiana. Purdue with a golden opportunity to cut the lead, but Reynolds stripped him of the ball. Now Barrett comes back with a big three, and it's a 7-point margin again.
And Purdue has taken the most three-point shots of any team in the Big Ten, and they've been utilizing it to good advantage here in the second half. And you can't say enough about the job that Calbert Chaney's been doing on Jimmy Oliver, who's been scoreless in the second half.
Chaney is 4 of 9 shooting, but defensively he has held Oliver scoreless here in the second half after Oliver put 15 points up in that first half. Now from three-point range, Purdue is 6 of 8 here this afternoon.
Indiana's extended the defense. They said, yep, they're going to hit these. So look for Purdue to maybe go inside more, either with a drive or that good high-low look. Should be able to make the pass high to low now.
Oliver is on the benches. Standback and White are up front. Darner, Painter, and Barrett. Here is Standback. Barrett forces one under pressure into the hands of White. And Chaney held his ground on White very well underneath, and the foul goes against Purdue.
Personal foul, Purdue, number 12, Matt Painter.
Awful lot of action under the hoop, I'll tell you, and Purdue had an opportunity again. Sometimes they go a little too quick. That was a poor shot. There was no position there, and then Indiana, not a big team, but certainly an opportunistic team, and gets the rebound.
That's 4 personal fouls on Painter as he sits down here with 11 minutes and 9 seconds to go. Indiana up by 7, 50-43.
Brent, I really think that Purdue, with their outside shooting now, needs to get settled offensively and look for the high-low pass. I think they got a chance at getting that.
Graham, Chaney, Anderson, Meeks 23 with the ball, Reynolds 21. Reynolds with a big defensive play here earlier in the second half.
Purdue's back to its man-to-man, doing a good job.
Chaney, there's 1,000 points. As a sophomore, one of 5 players in Indiana history to reach it that quickly. Purdue pounds on the inside, and over the top is White. Now here are the 5 who scored 1,000 points at Indiana as sophomores. Mike Woodson. 2 are also here, and Steve Alford and Jay Edwards. Don Schlunt, now Calbert Chaney joins that elite group.
But I'll tell you, this young man may play better defense than maybe any of those guys. I mean, he is really doing a job on the defensive end. Last possession down, though, Purdue did precisely what it needed to do. Once you start getting the shots outside and the defense extends, go back inside. And I think they need to do it again.
Every time Purdue gets within striking distance, one of 2 things happen. They either turn it over or there is a real good defensive effort by Indiana.
And that time, it was a turnover, although Coach Katie does not agree with that call. Ooh, 26-4 around the basket.
Stand back. Picks up his second. Katie was assessed a technical foul in the first half. Has 5 for the season, and Bob Knight only 2. That's technicals now. Katie has back-to-back Sundays here on ABC. Anderson gets it back. Anderson wanted it on the low blocks. He had a smaller man on him. That's what all that screening and picks do on the inside. Anderson rolling from the right. Purdue fouled him. That was stand back.
Talk about mismatches. Big people on little people outside the three-point area. That's a mismatch. Just as it is a mismatch, the little guy and the big guy close to the basket. And there was a case there where Jamal Meeks went right to the basket. And incidentally, I've been hitting on the Purdue guards so much. Let's give him some credit for bringing Purdue back by knocking down all those three-point shots. I hope that gives them some confidence for not only the rest of this game, but for the rest of the season.
Nine points for Eric Anderson to go with his 8 rebounds.
Brent, the move that you like. You talked about that. Letting Oliver bring the ball up the court.
Well, a reminder of what's coming up next Saturday on ABC. The Bud Light Classic. That's the bowling tour. And then later it'll be on Wide World, the U.S. Figure Skating Championships. Presented by Diet Sprite and NutraSweet, all live except on the West Coast Saturday on ABC. Speaking of bowling, I wonder if they offer some tips.
Oh, there he is, right there in the middle. Chicky. We had a bowling tournament last night. Brent Musburger coached one team, went down to ignominious defeat because of that man in the middle who brought his own shoes. Imagine that. He brought his own shoes and he can't bowl.
It's required viewing for them next Saturday in case there's a bowling tip. I want my text to be ready for the rematch. Oliver missing on the outside. Indiana's possession. 54-43, they lead it. 9 minutes to go here in Bloomington. This is Pat Graham. Now Anderson steps out off the fake he traveled.
The most common traveling call in basketball, the head fake, put it on the floor. Sometimes officials will call that. I mean, that may have been a walk, very well may have been a walk. Sometimes it's an anticipation call, too. Got to have a run. We're going to need a run, Purdue.
Graham taking Oliver, and away from the ball, Meeks picks up the personal foul. Let's check in with Mark Jones. Mark?
Guys, Gene Cady is really working the referees. He wants the refs to call some hand-checking fouls on the Indiana guards. This goes back actually all the way to last week when he wanted the same thing from the referees. He even put in a phone call to you, Jim, about that.
Yes, he did. I was wakened one morning, and the gentleman said, "This is Cady." I said, "Cady who?" I know it was some young lady. He said, "Gene Cady." I said, "Oh, Gene, what can I do for you?" He said, "Just tell me, were they hand checking or not? Were they hand checking or not?" And I said, "Gene, I gotta go to defensive officials here." I said, "Your guards, they get a little more aggressive. I think they'll get more calls." And they have been more aggressive today.
Knocked away from Graham. That was Painter knocking it free, but it's Indiana's ball. Graham goes across to Meeks. Now Reynolds through the inside.
Quick's got him there. You know, they're not at times, I hate to say it, but as a coach, you say this sometimes. You say, we're not a lucky team either. It seems that Purdue is slapping at balls, getting loose balls, but not getting it. And there was a case with Painter or Barrett made a slap at a ball, but Indiana gets the loose ball.
Naaman Bailey checking back as Pat Graham sits down. Dan Deckage there, one of the assistant coaches under Knight, who played here at Indiana.
And his claim to fame is that game in the NCAA tournament when he guarded Michael Jordan. Indiana upset North Carolina. You find out those things in the brochure. A lot of good stuff in the brochure. For example, Indiana has 16 managers.
16?
16 managers. That's a lot of managers.
(56-45). Indiana and all its managers and talented players with a lead here in Bloomington. Purdue has battled hard, but might not have enough to get over the top. White goes to work and is rejected by Anderson into the hands of Oliver. Darner rims out Cheney. Now it's Meeks in the middle. He'll pull it back out. Cheney comes down the baseline beautifully with that quick first step.
Indiana does an excellent job interior defense. And there you see Eric Anderson up with the left hand. A lot of right-handed players have trouble making that block. Eric did a good job, and it turns into 2 free throws down the other end.
8 team fouls on Purdue and only 5 on Indiana. So 2 more on Purdue, and Indiana will be shooting a pair of free throws the rest of the way. And they have gotten to that free throw line regularly all season long.
As I said before, Brent, one of the great stats, I think, in Indiana's basketball team this year is that they have actually made more foul shots than their opponents have even taken. And that usually is a stat for a big team, not a small team.
57-45, Indiana. Timeout, Bloomington.
Who's won 3 national championships, but you read the brochures, Brent, you learn all these things. In 1940, when Indiana won its first national championship, actually the Big Ten champion that year was none other than Purdue. But listen to this, Coach Ward Piggy Lambert, I love that, decided not to go to the tournament. Can you picture someone today saying, nah, I don't think I want to go? And Indiana went on to win the national championship. Read those brochures, it's great stuff.
Painter with a 2. He was on the line. Now it's a 10-point margin again. 7:24. Plenty of time if Purdue can just get over that hump.
Guards have done a good job, and they're changing defenses again. Look like they want to go for some pressure.
Anderson's open down deep. But defensively, Purdue holds its ground, and Anderson commits a personal. He fouls White, who was trying to bust out of there. His first personal of the game.
Purdue changed defenses, went to trapping defense. They got the ball to Anderson, and there's the loose ball. No, there's a foul there, no question about it. There was a foul on the arm prior to any held ball. And let's give again the guards from Purdue for making that standstill three-point shot. No, they want it backcourt. The ball has to go over, not just the foot. The ball must go over that 10-second line to get a backcourt call.
Nice pass to stand back, and he missed the layup. Missed an easy shot. The Hoosiers come back. Reynolds, what a turnaround that was. A layup missed at the other end. Wow, they've had their chances, haven't they?
Oh, they really have.
Here he comes again, and this time he gives it up to the other side to White, who comes in, and he was fouled by Anderson.
Looking for the goaltend call, but I don't think they're going to get it. Nice job, though, Purdue the last 2 times of getting the ball inside. And they do get, let's see, we have a goaltend call here. It's on the way up. You're allowed to do that. And the ball is on the way up. You can smack it. Good job, though, by Purdue going outside when they needed to, inside when they did. But when you can't make those layups, it drives you crazy as a coach. Absolutely drives you nuts. You know, you read the brochure. I found another interesting thing about Purdue. When Gene Cady, now why they put these things there, I don't know. When he was in high school, he was a great track star. He actually got hit with the shot put when he was on the track. Now, I assume very shortly thereafter is when he made the decision to become a coach. You know, you don't have to be crazy to do this, but it probably does help.
10-point lead for the Hoosiers. Damon Bailey fires up one, and now it's 12. 6:10 to go. 61-49.
Ooh. Behind the back dribble, they're looking more confident, the guards.
Reynolds out on Darner. Painter sends it to White. Oliver steps out. White has it knocked away by Meeks. Meeks picked his pocket underneath the basket.
Brought the ball down. White brought it down. Made the 6-foot guy just as tall as he was. But that was an outstanding offensive set. I know it didn't go in, but that was an outstanding offensive set. Purdue did everything right that time. Inside, outside. Brought the ball down. Don't bring it down there. Coach Cady said, leave it up high. Oh, that drives you nuts. I'll tell you, this guy is such a battler. I mean, Gene Cady has done such a terrific job of keeping his kids up. And, you know, you see him at practice. He battles. He plays every pass, every dribble, every rebound. But then when you come up short, I'm sure you think about that time back in high school.
Watch Chaney shoot, and it's hard to believe that in 20 years of coaching here at Indiana, Chaney is Bobby Knight's first left-handed shooter.
I knew there was a weakness in Knight's coaching. That's it. I couldn't find it. There it is.
Funderburk, also a left-hander, left, so I'm sure Knight is back down on southpaws. Will not bring any more in.
That's an incredible stat, only one lefty.
Oliver has certainly been quiet here in the second half. Chaney all over White underneath, and White comes back.
There was some fouls down low that time.
Oliver is still scoreless here in the second half, 63-51.
Gene had a good case for a three-point play that time.
Chaney has it knocked away, and now Darner comes back down, but Meeks and Bailey retreat defensively. Stanback will send it to Oliver, who will ship a 3. Bailey. Lead Reynolds. On the move, he had to toss it up. Chaney ships to Reynolds, who's fouled.
Chucky White does a great job on the inside. He gets himself free. Nice pass away from the defender. Goes up. Could have a foul there on his back. Stays with it again. Goes back again. And might get a three-point call, but not today. But excellent. Just stayed with the play and did a good job. Chucky White.
Number 22, Dave Barrett. He replaces Darner.
Darner sits down as Barrett checks in, and now Riley also into the lineup, and Stanback will sit down.
2 free throws. Number 21, Chris Reynolds.
It's hard to come all the way back when your star is scoreless in the second half.
What an outstanding job. But other players did pick up the slack. It's just as we mentioned before, every time Purdue has a real opportunity, there's a turnover somewhere. And that's been the key to their whole season, really.
Into White, who will get to the free throw line.
There's a perfect example. Had an opportunity at a three-point play and don't get it.
Well, tonight on ABC, Tom Hanks stars in a very big movie. I hope you've seen this one. It's a marvelous movie. Big. The network premiere now. One of the funnier movies in years. Tom Hanks is Big tonight at 9, 8 Central on the ABC Sunday night movie.
It's really big, Brent.
It is.
It's
now
big.
We're talking big.
That's big. Here's a chance again. Three-point play. Wind up if you're lucky to come up with one. That happens when you're just not quite good enough.
63-52, 11 inside of 5 minutes.
It's amazing. The 10-0 run that started the game, it's about a 10-point game.
Chaney Meeks, Reynolds, Bailey, and Anderson handling the ball for the Hoosiers. Ranked number 4. Already Arkansas a loser today to Vegas. Ohio State and Indiana play next Sunday in a game that in all likelihood will settle the Big Ten Conference race, although there certainly could be an upset along the way to throw everything out of whack. Into Anderson's hands. Nice defensive play by White, who puts it on the floor. Over to Barrett. The three short, and Anderson aggressively goes after the rebound. Fouls on Riley.
Personal foul, Purdue. Number 54, Craig Riley. His second personal.
Well, coming up next, the second game, our doubleheader. Many of you will watch the Pac-10 showdown between UCLA and Arizona. And those of you in the Midwest will watch Illinois take on Minnesota. Minnesota's been a little disappointing this year.
Yeah, Brent, they're coming off a couple of good years in a row. And especially at home, where they were invincible last couple of years.
Jimmy, how do you break down next week's Ohio State-Indiana game?
I really think Ohio State has the edge in that ball game, not only because it's at home, but because they had an 18-point lead right here. They got a lot of confidence. Veteran team, too.
Timeout.
Most people know State Farm sells car and homeowners insurance. Some people don't know State Farm sells life insurance too. I'm State Farm agent Cecil Burt. Our life insurance policies, our prices, and our financial ability to deliver on our promises, plus the good neighbor service State Farm agents are famous for, have made State Farm one of the largest of all life insurance companies and an outstanding life insurance value.
State Farm sells life insurance.
Did you know, if your business doesn't use AT&T 800 service, it takes over 35% longer for your customers' calls to connect.
Now you don't really want me, but you keep me hanging up. You don't really need me, but you keep me hanging up.
The longer your customers wait, the more they may hang up, and that can cost you business. Faster 800 connections, another AT&T advantage.
Hold it, ho, ho, ho. So you're gonna finally meet Cindy, huh? Tonight. Good, so first impressions are very important. I think. Okay, now imagine, lights are low, the music's soft, knock the door opens up, somebody's out there doing this.
What is this? She's got dandruff?
No, you have dandruff.
No,
yes you do.
I shampoo every day.
You could shampoo your brains out with regular shampoo, wouldn't matter.
Brains out?
Yeah, well, so use that.
Head and Shoulders?
Works for me, my friend.
But you don't have dandruff.
Exactamundo!
Head and Shoulders, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm with Bill Belichick, the new head coach of the Cleveland Browns. Bill, have you learned anything so far? A few days on the job?
Well, we're trying to put a staff together, and just been up in Indianapolis with the Combine, looking at some of the college players that are coming out this year.
Your relationship with Coach Bob Knight, he put in a very favorable phone call helping you get the job, didn't he?
Well, I have a lot of respect for Coach Knight, and we've been friends for a long time. I've learned an awful lot from him.
Thanks for joining us, Bill. Good luck next year. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Mark. Bill Belichick, defensive coordinator of the world champion New York Giants, moves to Art Modell's team, the Cleveland Browns.
And he's undefeated, which is the happiest time in any coach's life. The time between you get the job and your first game.
Here it's all Indiana, 65-52, 3 minutes to go. Interior foul.
Nice pass by Barrett. Did a nice job. Got that ball inside.
Personal foul, Indiana. Number 40, Calvert Cheney. His third personal, the team's ninth. One positive bonus. Number 32, Jimmy Oliver.
Jimmy Oliver, scoreless here in the second half, at the line.
What a job they've done defensively on Oliver. And now we got that bad rule comes into play the rest of the way. As you see, Purdue has committed its 10th foul already, which means Gene has a smaller lineup in. Well, he may go to a sub, but he had his 3 guards in, means he was going to go after the ball a little bit. So if you foul, give up 2 shots. Even Brent Musburger wouldn't have no nerves, right? If you knew you had 2 up there.
It's much easier than that one-on-one. Jim Valvano might not have won a national championship with that rule.
Are you kidding me? If there was a 3-point shot in the clock, there'd be 2 less Italian guys going around with rings.
You and Mr. Massimino.
Oh, yeah, we'd have gotten buried. We'd both gotten buried in those games. And that's why now you're going to see the more talented teams, I think, like a Vegas. Who can beat Vegas? You can't hang on to the ball a little bit. And there's the pressure. He put the guards in. He's going after the ball a little bit.
Cheney will break out.
Speed's a wonderful thing. See, Brent, the speed dribble again. You see? The speed dribble. Here it is.
A little speedier with Cheney.
Well, it works when you're a little faster, too. A speedier dribble. But it's a great thing in all games. John Wooden used to say basketball is not a game of size, it's a game of speed and quickness. And he's right. He was right back then. He's right now.
14 for Cheney. He has been in double figures in 51 of his 53 games here at Indiana. And now he has a streak of 37 consecutive games in double figures. He's only a sophomore. There are some talented sophomores in the country. There'll be another one on display next Sunday at Ohio State. Jim Jackson. And of course, Shaquille O'Neal. Some of you will be watching LSU Alabama on ABC next weekend. And the guard, Kenny Anderson, down at Georgia Tech. This is White underneath. It's 67-56.
Guards from Purdue have played much better the second half. Much better.
Bailey hits Anderson. And White is fouled by Reynolds. That's the 10th. And now Purdue gets to shoot a pair the rest of the way. It doesn't look good, but Katie's Boilermakers are not quite out of it yet. 2:47, shooting 2 free throws the rest of the way.
They're out of it, Brent. I'm sorry, they're out of it. I mean, they're doing a great job. Don't get me wrong. They're working their tail off. They're doing a terrific job. But Indiana, you have to look at play the what-if game. You know, Indiana very shortly is going to say, okay, let's run the clock some. They're a great foul shooting team. They got great speed, quickness, and ball handling. So it can't come back. It's too hard.
Like you said.
It's too hard. They've done a great job, but Indiana handles the ball too well.
Indiana is 24 of 29 at the line, due to follow up on that, and Purdue is only 14 of 23. So they left 9 points on the table at the free throw line right now, which would have helped the Boilermakers greatly here.
So you can't get any steals.
Bailey, just like that.
Yeah, that's right. You can't come back in a club like Indiana with their ball handlers.
11 points for Damon Bailey. Barrett passes it up to Painter. They go into White. Darner is 3.
Well, I'm happy for them, though.
It's 10 in 2 minutes.
And a foul, Brent. A foul, I believe, on Matt Painter underneath.
And that would be his 5th.
It's really not a bad foul. There's the nice three-point shot. The guards are doing a great job. And there we have a little push, I guess. I didn't really.
That's an odd call, isn't it, in that situation?
But you're not that upset as a coach. You know why? Because you're going to get a quick foul anyway, so they got one without the clock moving. Now all Indiana has to do is you do in every ball game. You got to make free throws down the stretch. When you got two tries as opposed to just the 1-and-1, a heck of a lot easier. Jamal Meeks is a 72% free throw shooter.
I don't think Katie's happy about that call.
No, not at all. But I have made it through an entire game, and it's a bet I had with Dick Vitale, and I have not called Bob Knight the general one time. You have, though. I made it through. Dick's had such an impact. I'm telling you. I was in an art gallery right in North Carolina the other day, and the teachers were showing kids around, and the teacher said, "There's a painting by Michelangelo." And the kid said, "Who's that?" And the teacher said, "That's the Dean Smith of painting."
It's had an impact on my mother, too. She said to me before I left, "You're not going to go work with that Vitale, are you?"
Oh.
I said, "No, Mom, it's the other Italian."
Oh, boy.
Into White. Anderson. 3 personals, now make it 4. I believe all in the second half.
Personal foul, Indiana, number 32, Eric Anderson. It's scored personal.
Damon Bailey, the freshman, highly touted, who's been brought along, I think, very well. This is his 7th game, I believe, in a row where he's gotten double figures.
Substitution as well for Purdue. Number 35, Cornelius Perry goes in, replacing Riley.
1:47 to go. A 10-point Indiana lead, and that is exactly what it started out as. 10-0 before Purdue put a point on the board.
Got to make free throws. Both clubs.
Now it's 8. Quickly getting it up. Graham out there with Bailey. Chaney, Meeks, Anderson. And they will put Meeks on the free throw line.
Personal foul, Purdue. Number 32, Jimmy.
Let's take a look at that AP top 10. We've been talking about the shakeup next week as a result of Arkansas losing 112 to 105 to UNLV. So Vegas obviously stays number 1. Ohio State could move to 2. Indiana, I suppose, could jump over. Not likely. They'll settle that issue next Sunday anyway. Arizona still coming up against UCLA, and you wonder how far down Arkansas will drop as the result of that loss.
I think that Ohio State will go to number 2. I think. And incidentally, how about Duke is beating LSU by
20 points. Into Bailey's hands. They wanted the intentional foul call.
I don't know about that. That was like, I think about 17,000 people called that. And I'd like to look at that. I know he was just trying to reach in for the, go for the ball. I don't know. Let's take a look at this. I'm not sure. That's not a good call. There we go. Now, you're down. You know you're going to foul. Everybody knows people are going to foul. Oh, well, on second thought.
On second
thought. A little bit too obvious.
If you want to become a villain in the state of Indiana, just do something to Damon Bailey.
Oh, my goodness. I wish they had the rule. It used to have the old NBA rule, and you knew you were going to give a foul. You'd go over and you kind of hug the guy, and just go and just hug him.
I love
Mike
it when you
Weir
can foul the
used to do
guy
that.
away from the ball. Chase him out of the arena.
Oh, that's pretty.
Chaney. Oh, Indiana puts one away. be 6 straight wins for the Hoosiers and 5 straight losses for the Boilermakers. Coach's son, Pat Knight, will see some playing time as Chaney sits down, number 25. The 6'6" freshman, there he is. Pat Knight, one of Bob's 2 sons. His older son graduated from Stanford.
I'll tell you, Brent, as a coach, one of the nicest feelings in the world is about a minute to play. You got it wrapped up in your own building, the place going crazy. One of the worst is being a visiting team. And I used to say, hey, I just don't want them to get any dunks. No more dunks in my face at the end of the breaks. And then the crowd goes crazy. You know, you really, it's just, you pull your neck, you get your jaw tight. You say, let's just get on the bus.
I'd like to see Pat Knight hit a 3-point shot.
Well, I don't think he's going to take one.
I don't either.
I don't believe so.
Here's Nover staying with it, and it's Riley coming up with the dunk for Purdue. So coming up next, UCLA, Arizona for the Pac-10. Here in the Big Ten, it'll be Illinois and Minnesota. So the jockeying for the top seeds in the NCAA tournament. You can pencil down Vegas for 1. The winner of the Big Ten will get 1, and everything else really up for grabs, isn't it?
I guarantee you that even though there are a lot of substitutes, that Indiana will run its offense. There's 2 ways all coaches at the end of the game. You can win and look good at the end, and you can win and do some sloppy things. I guarantee you they won't.
Pat Knight handling. Great pass to Nover, and Riley fouled it.
Discipline. See that? Do what has to be done. Play the game the way it's supposed to be played. Right to the buzzer.
Craig Riley is the 3rd personal. Matt Dover at the line.
That was an assistant coach, Ron Felling, who was seated alongside Knight, who does so much work for him in practice sessions. He had an unbelievable record as a high school coach over in Illinois. A couple of unbeaten seasons he put together in Class A.
Like 68 in a row he won. He knows about winning.
Indiana outscores Purdue 32-16 at the free throw line and puts away another W. Put it down. 81-63.
Two of the best coaches right there in the business. Shake hands at midcourt.
So Indiana now with a week off to get ready for their confrontation against Ohio State. For Mark Jones and Jim Valvano, I'm Brent Musburger. So long, everybody.
ABC's College Basketball.